Boom. Now we are locked in. Should be locked in there. Let's go ahead and send this out to the team so that the team can eat with us here today. Boom. Let's go. Here is the today's pre-market prep. It is CPI day, which is the boom. There we go. Got that sent out to the team. Let's pull up the chart here. Let's remove all of our drawings. Let's go to our 4-hour daily. Let's start on TikTok live. Let's go live in the 7.5 on TikTok here. CPI pre-market prep. There we go. Let's go live in the 7.5. There we go. All right, so we are live on all accounts here. Let me just make this a little bit easier to see. What should we go with? The red, the blue. What should we do? What should we do? What should we do, chat? I don't know. Should we go red or should we go blue? All right, we're going to go blue. We're going to dock this. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. We're going through today. It is CPI, so stay tuned. We're going to be breaking down exactly what we're looking for here in the markets today. So what are we looking for here today? First of all, I hope that all of you are having a great morning and you guys are ready to attack the day. Hopefully you guys are coming in here with a little bit of energy, right? You guys ready to go ahead and attack the day? We got some good, solid moves that we could potentially see, especially here with the CPI release. So what we're going to be doing here, for those of you who are just joining up, we're actually going to be breaking down exactly what it is that we're going to be looking for here for our CPI release. And we're going to be walking through each and every step of our blueprint and how we actually go about the markets each and every day. So if you're just joining up, make sure you stay tuned so that you can see exactly how we utilize this blueprint in order to capitalize in the actual markets. So starting with the blueprint, what is the first thing that we want to do? Well, we want to make sure that we're trading these different assets. So the assets that we're going to be looking for is gold, the Dow Jones or the US 30 if you're trading Forex, right? Or the YM if you're trading futures, the NASDAQ, the NAS 100, NAS 100 if you're trading Forex, or the NQ if you're trading futures, and the S&P 500, which is the ES if you're trading futures, right? So that's the pairs that we want to be making sure that we're taking a look at here today. Now, what are we going to do? First thing we need to do is make sure that we're trading the New York session. That's the most important thing, right? We want to trade the New York session. So I won't be trading the news release of CPI. I'm going to trade the data following, right? The volume following, right? Okay, so what is the first thing that we have to do? We checked off that we've marked out our 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. What is the next thing? Well, we need to check my FX book for any news events for the sesh. This helps to spot potential volatility, and it can be good to know depending on if account allows news trading, right? So this is very, very important. We do have some high volume news that's going to be released here in just about, I want to say, I think it's like what time is it? In about 15 minutes, right? We're going to have this CPI data get released. Now, what CPI is the consumer price index. This measures the inflation rate in the US, and this is a very typically a high volume news driver, right? So a high volume driver in the markets. And again, if we look at our blueprint here, we know that the blueprint says that it can be good to know depending on if your account allows news trading. So if you're trading with prop firms that don't allow news trading, this is one of those events that will likely be flagged. And you guys want to make sure that you're looking out for that, right? You guys want to make sure that you're looking out for that. So what are we looking for here today in the markets? Well, obviously on the weekly time frame, we have been extremely bullish here on the NASDAQ. That's what we're going to start with. What is the next step that it says to do? We got to identify our direction. So that's the thing that we want to do now, is identify what our direction is. So what is our current direction? Well, coming on this weekly time frame, previous weekly was extremely bullish, right? Previous daily was in fact bullish, but the current daily is in fact bearish, right? So that's important to note. note. And if we dial down to our 4-hour time frame here, let's take a look at it. What is our 4-hour time frame showing us, right? So are we in a bullish continuation? Drop a 1 in the chat for bullish continuation. Drop a 2 in the chat for a bearish correction, right? I'm curious here. What do you guys think? 1 in the chat for bullish continuation, 2s in the chat for bearish correction. I want to see who's following here. So 1 for, I see Whip with the 1. Sim K says 2 for a bearish correction. Crystal with the 2 for the bearish correction. T Trades with the 2 for bearish correction. Uni the 2 for bearish correction. Okay, so yes, we are in a bearish correction, right? And how do we know that? Well, we're going to dial down to our 15-minute time frame, and we're going to identify this 15-minute direction. And chances are, if we take a look at our 15-minute time frame, we're going to see that actually confirmed here. Now, how do we know that we're in a bearish correction? Like, how do we even know that we're currently bearish, right? Definitely a correction, but it's overall still a bullish trend. Absolutely, Whip, right? So it's technically a bullish trend, but we want to make sure that we know what wave we're in. So we're in the correction of a larger time frame bullish trend. So somebody T-Trade said break of structure. SimK says lower low, lower lows and lower highs. So exactly, right? So in order to identify our current wave, which is in a bearish correction, right? And what is a correction? Does anybody in the chat know what is a correction? Like, what's the difference between a correction and a continuation? For those of you who have been here for a long time, you guys know what the difference, you should know what the difference is between a continuation and a correction, right? So what is a correction? Can somebody tell me what it is? Can we get anybody in the chat that knows what a correction is? Or how do you determine what a correction is, right? 10%, a continuation continues in the direction it starts. Exactly, Quicksilver, right? So a continuation continues in the direction of our larger trend, right? TJ says a break of structure, breaking key levels. Yes, but a correction specifically goes against the larger time frame trend. So Whip said that the definition, or it's definitely a correction, but overall still a bullish trend, right? So if we take a look at our larger time frame here, we're clearly in a bullish trend, right? We can all agree here, if you have eyes to see, we can all agree that this is a pretty extensive bullish trend, right? Right. So what we're doing, any sell move that we see in this long extended bullish trend is going to be treated as a lower time frame corrective structure. What else confirms that we're in a corrective structure? How do we identify a correction versus a continuation? Because there's something that the candles actually give away for us that gives us the clues that, hey, look, we are in a corrective structure rather than a bearish continuation, right? There's no retest. Okay, I see somebody said there's no retest. A correction is a slight drop, meaning a company is slightly overvalued at the moment. Yeah, that's the technical definition of a correction, Michael. That is definitely right. I just found your live. I'm learning from Chartlingo AI. I've never heard what that is, but what are you trading? For those of you just joining up, we're taking a look at the NASDAQ and we're going through our step-by-step blueprint that we go through each and every day. And we're going to be on live for our CPI data release, which is going to be in just 10 minutes. The data release is going to be coming out. So we're in a corrective structure, and we know this because we can simply look at the volume of the candles, right? So we got this nice impulsive move. What is an impulsive move? It's a high volume move to the upside. Now, yesterday in our price action, we've seen that the markets coming into the market structure was a little choppier here for the NQ, right? This was a little bit more of a sideways movement, and then we seen a continuation up. So how do we know that we've actually shifted from being bullish to actually being bearish? You guys have been dropping it in the chat. Either a small candle continue with an engulfing. Whip says either a small candle continue with an engulfing candle, or maybe a doji if you're looking at the candle. So yeah, what we've taken a look at is specifically the volume, right? So you got these big candles that gives us this high impulsive move to the upside. And then as we're trying to push down, we get this kind of low and slow move to the downside. It's not a very clean move. It's a low and slow move to the downside. So that lets us know that, hey, look, our overall pressure is still bullish, but our current wave that we're in is a bearish wave. Now, how do we know that this is our bearish wave and that we're in a bearish wave? Well, you need to see where your key high and your key low is. And that's what we're going to do and mark out now. So how do we identify our key high? Well, when we were in this bullish trend, right? Price had came up and it created this high up here. So when it created this high up here, the key low is the lowest point that started for the break of the high. Now, where was that lowest point that started for the break of the high? That's going to be right here at 29,247, right? Does that make sense? 29,247. So when you actually get a break of this 29,247, that actually flips our structure from being bullish to now being a bearish market structure, right? And so for those of you just joining up here, we are breaking down the NASDAQ. We got CPI data coming out in roughly 9 minutes, and we're breaking down our step-by-step blueprint and how we actually go and set up the markets each and every day. So we are in this corrective structure, right? We know this because our key area of interest low got broken. That shifted the markets from being bullish to now being bearish. So what did we see happen following this break? And this is what's really important, right? We get this break, we get a correction. Guess what happens? We get a lower low get created. What can you repeat that, please? Yeah. So what part are you confused on? I want to make sure that I get this out for you. What time frame is this on? We're currently on the 15-minute time frame. Okay, what is it that I got you confused on? The chart. Okay, yeah. So this chart is the NASDAQ, right? So we're breaking down right now exactly what it is that we're looking for today, right? And we're going through our step-by-step blueprint, and this is a blueprint that is absolutely free to you guys. You guys just have to DM me the word ACE. If you DM me the word ACE, I'll send you this blueprint absolutely free, and you also will get this trading journal so that you guys can start tracking your progress. This is very, very important. So marking it out, absolutely. So let's take a look, right? So we were in this confirmed bullish trend, and this was my key low. Now, a key low is the starting point that creates the high that broke our previous high. So what was our previous high? Our previous high was indicated here. So this was the starting point that pushed to break through this high, right? So that makes this now my key low. And why this is important is because if we get a break of this low, it flips the structure from being bullish to now being bearish, right? And so what happened once we actually broke? You can see price pushed down and created all of this is all one move. We treat all of this as one move because this is here our key low. So then what did we see happen? We got a corrective structure. Then what happened again? We created yet again another lower low, and guess where we retested? Well, probably that key area of interest low that we was just at, right? And look at the reaction once tapping into that level. Price tried to push down. It didn't break through this low, so this still remained the key high. And then guess what happened? Well, we got this retest yet again at this level, and then price pushed down again. That's telling me and confirming to me that, hey, look, this area of interest at this 29,250, because you guys know I love my solid whole numbers, 29,250 is a strong area of resistance in the markets, right? So where's our key high and our key low at currently? Let's take a look, right? So what did we see happen? Price created this low that broke through our previous low, created a high, and it's just now created a lower low. So if we're marking out our key high and our current key low, our key high is right here. Why is this high so important? Somebody drop in the chat why this high is so important, right? What happens, shall I say, if we break above this high? What does that do to the structure? Lit2 NYC, hey, you guys DM me the word ACE, right? Make sure you DM me the word ACE so that I can send you guys that blueprint out. And if you DM me the word join, you guys will be able to join our VIP for 7 days completely free where we trade live, right? We're going to be going live, and we have CPI data here today. So if you're just joining up, this is what we're doing here. It changes to bluish. CT, you've been here for a long time, right? I've been seeing you here. Changes direction. Yes, bands, right? Break trend. Exactly. Big Vic. Right, E-Man flips the structure. I appreciate you guys with the fan club there. I don't know what that is, but I appreciate you guys there. Break of structure, action, exactly, right? So what happens when you get that break of structure is it flips the structure from being bearish to now being in a technical bullish trend. And guess what? Would that be a bullish continuation or would it be a bullish correction? Drop 1 in the chat for a continuation. Drop 2s in the chat for a correction. Right, I want to see that you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. Ant says 1, T-Trade says 1, Whip says, CT says 2, Whip says 2, Sim says 1, Substitute Preacher, appreciate you joining back up again. I peep you there. Lando says 2, everybody says 2. Okay, so for those of you who are saying 2, You would be wrong, right? And why is it wrong? Because what is a continuation, right? A continuation, and for those of you who said correction, a correction is something that goes against our larger time frame trend. Now we know that our larger time frame trend is bullish. Can we all agree that this is a very bullish structure, right? So any buys that we see is going to be a continuation. So if we get this first initial flip, where could we see price potentially go? Well, probably back up into these all-time highs, right? Because it's more likely that we continue in the direction of our larger time frame trend. And if we do see that, then price will likely target, the previous high that was created on the larger time frame, right? So for those of you who said continuation, you guys would be absolutely correct. Right. And those members who are in our VIP, they know this, right? They're learning this here, how to identify whether you're in a correction versus a continuation. And it's important that you guys know this, whether you're in a correction versus a continuation, because how you have to execute with both trades. A continuation based trade is a trade that would give you oftentimes a higher risk to reward, right? Because it continues in the direction of the trend, and it oftentimes has more volume as well, right? So in particular, the trade that we took on Friday, a nice continuation based trade right here that gave us a 1 to 8.5 R, right? Why were we able to capitalize on this? Because it was a continuation based trade and you can hold your trade longer. Correction based trades are ones that you want to be a little bit shorter on. You want to be making sure that you're taking your profit a little bit faster. Why is that? Because at any given moment, price can continue in the direction of the trend. Right? Is that making sense? Drop an ace in the chat if that's making sense. I joined too late and didn't have context. Oh, no worries, Lando, no worries. Right? For those of you who are just joining in, we're breaking down the NASDAQ here. We have CPI data getting released in 3 minutes. So we're going to watch the spike here and we're going to see what that is. Angel says makes sense. CT says it makes sense. You guys are picking up what I'm putting down, right? Drop a follow if you guys aren't currently following me. I don't want this to be the last time that you guys see me. We have 134 people on here. And if you're just joining up, we are breaking down the NASDAQ, teaching everybody how to identify structure here, right? We're utilizing this step-by-step blueprint that we're going through. So we've identified our direction on our 15-minute time frame, which we confirmed is in fact bearish, right? So now we want to mark out our key area of resistance on our 5 minutes. So this is going to be your key 5-minute high and your key 5-minute low. Well, where is that going to be at? Well, we already have our key 5-minute high marked out here, and our key 5-minute low is the current low that we have placed in, right? So this is going to be our range. Each day in the markets, we want to set up what our range is, and we want to wait for our range to actually get broken. And you guys are going to see here in about a minute and 10 seconds that we have high volume news that's going to come out, right? CPI data. Now, this is not to say that the market is going to just explode, but oftentimes throughout history, CPI, and for those of you who don't know, CPI stands for Consumer Price Index, right? And it's just the way that the US measures inflation. What is inflation? It is the regulated price of goods and services. Are the prices of goods and services going up? For those of you in the US, you guys have seen that, hey, look, the price of gas has been going up, right? When we see inflation, this means the price of your normal goods and services is going up, and that's heavily due to the war that's going on, right? And the price of oil going up. So what we have in 28 seconds is the CPI release, and we're going to take a look at where the CPI data goes. So if we get a break above this area, we would look for a continuation based trade to the upside. But if we break below this area here, we would look for a corrective structure continuation, a correction, shall I say, for price to keep going down, as in our confirmed 15-minute trend. So this is how we set up our things here, right? Why don't you use candlesticks? I absolutely do use candlesticks. We can see here we got a spike up and a spike down. Now, it's important that we do not trade the spike, right? We don't want to trade the spike. If you had, and a lot of traders, I'm telling you, this is where so many traders just lost right now. So many traders have just lost right now. Blown accounts. I'm talking blown accounts. Why is that? Why are traders losing right now? Because they're setting buy stops above this high, and then they're setting sell stops below this low. That's it. That's what they're doing. And what happened? Well, price wicked up, came all the way back down, wicked down, and then came all the way back up. They're just getting stopped out. How many of you used to trade the news? Drop a 1 in the chat if you used to trade the spike of the news. And I'm no different. I used to do it too, right? I used to do it too. Drop a 1 in the chat if you ever have traded the spike of the news. Right? Chasing the highs. What time frame do you usually execute on? E-Man, I see you with that there, with that 1. Gotti with the 1, right? 1 psych. Evans with the 1. A-Rod says me, right? Was almost me right now. See, exactly, right? E said it was almost him right now. Dion says almost him. Substitute Preacher says 1. So you guys would have been losing money right now simply because you didn't wait for the direction, right? We want to wait for the volume, right? Because what does our blueprint say? We need to check my FX book because why? It helps to spot potential volatility, right? Helps to set potential volatility. And we need that volatility to determine our direction, right? So price pushed up above this high, but guess what? It immediately pushed back down. It broke through this low and then it pushed back up, right? So many traders, I'm telling you, you're going to see it on down your feed today of so many traders that traded CPI trying to full port and just lost, right? And that's what I want to protect you guys from, because as of right now, we want to wait for this candle to actually close. Right? That's what's so important. You want to wait for the candle to close because that's going to determine your direction. And what did we know the direction was likely going to be today? Well, bearish, because we're what? We're in a bearish market structure, right? We're in a bearish market structure. As of right now, we are still technical bearish. Nah, no one got filled. Nah, they got filled all right. They got liquidated quick. Trust me, it happened to me. It happened to me. It happens. It definitely happens, right? So you want to make sure that you are not losing this way. I don't want you guys to lose this way here, right? So again, if you guys are getting some value, be sure to tap the like button and share this live out, right? Because we want to get to 10K likes, right? I don't ask you guys for much. I don't ask you guys for much, but to just like the screen if you're getting value. If you're not getting no value, don't like it, right? Don't like it if you're not getting no value. But if you're getting some value out of this, I want you guys to be smashing that like there, right? Because it helps me to come back and give you guys this. And for those of you who are just joining, we are watching the CPI data release, and so many traders just got cooked right now, right? And we're trying to help you guys so that you guys do not get cooked, right? How many of you have blown an account trading CPI, trading NFP, trading FOMC? How many of you have blown an account? Drop a 1 in the chat. Right? Drop a 1 in the chat. CPI was so trash. It absolutely was. It has no direction. It has no direction, right? It didn't move enough, only 15 points into each direction. Everyone at least 25 to 30 points. So Evan says he blew an account. 1. Lit2 NYC said they blew an account. Hey, look, I was there right there with you. I did about a year ago, but I didn't even know what CPI was back then. So you just didn't even know what it was and how you blew the account, right? And so that's why we have this blueprint, and you need to go through it step by step, because the second thing that you have to do is check MyFX book for news events for the session. Why? Because it helps to spot potential volatility, and it could be good to know depending on if your account allows news trading. There was times where I was trading and I literally would make profits on a news event that I didn't know was there, but then the account got breached simply because they didn't allow news trading, and I didn't know there was news that was coming out, right? So it's not like I had a bad trade, but simply by not knowing this one thing, it caused me to miss out on, at that time, $7,000 of a payout, right? So I don't want this same thing to happen to you guys. And why is it so important that we do what the next steps were, is identify our direction on our 15-minute time frame, and then dial down to our 5-minute time frame and mark out our key zones, because these are going to be our areas of resistance. And then the next step is wait for price to close either above or below the key zone on the 5-minute time frame, right? So we need to wait for the candle to actually close. What did this candle look like when it first pushed, right? It was bullish, then it was bearish, and then in the last, what I tell my team all the time, the last like 2 minutes of the 5 minutes is going to show you what it's going to do, right? It closed as a bullish candle, but still inside of this range here. So you just got, if you were setting buy stops and sell stops, you just got cooked both ways. Count gone. Account gone, right? Full ported, your account is gone. And I don't want you guys to make this mistake. I want you guys to be able to understand how to actually execute properly in the markets, how to set up your charts properly and really understand the overall direction. And this is what we teach in the VIP, right? So if you guys want to join us for our live trading sessions, you can join us 7 days absolutely free. Just DM me the word join and you guys will be able to join up with us, right? So that's what we did. We set it up for the NASDAQ. Let's go to a different asset and let's go through and walk through all of those same steps that we just went through again, but on a different chart, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the YM here. Now, what we want to do, the YM been a little choppy. Let's be real. All right. All right. The YM has been choppy. Can we agree that this, like, drop a 1 in the chat if you can agree that this has been pretty choppy price action here. Drop a 1. Can you guys see this? Can you guys see this? Drop a 1. CT, I see you. You said you see it. You see that this is a choppy market structure. Gotti, DM me the word join. So you got to DM me the word join. I've never traded CPI, but I've blown accounts. Hey, look, Kevin, we're going to try to fix that, right? So that you can understand, right? So yeah, this has been a pretty choppy market structure. And what it is called is a neutral market structure. Why is it a neutral market structure? What determines a neutral market structure, right? A neutral market structure, as determined by my rules, is when you have an invalidation of your high and your low. So in order for us to trade, we need to be seeing either higher highs and higher lows, or for price to create lower lows and lower highs. But what if price creates a low, then it creates a high, then it creates a lower low, and then a higher high, and then a lower low, and then it just chops off like this? Well, there's no direction, right? We don't know which direction it's going to go. And that's what the YM is telling me right now. Because guess what? What did it do? It came up, it created a key high. Then what happened? Well, then it chopped off, right? And it didn't do nothing but chop off inside of this range. It broke through the low. So now we should be technically bearish, right? Then it pushed up and created this high here. Then it created a low, then it created a high. And it's just in this neutral market. So body exposures. TikTok just says my live has been restricted because it contains something that may find people uncomfortable. It says body exposure or sexualized behaviors. Absolutely crazy, right? Absolutely crazy. TikTok, come on now. We need to appeal this. We're not doing nothing crazy. We're just breaking down the market. So this is a neutral market structure, which means that we can't determine what direction on our 15-minute time frame that price is going. So what do we do in neutral markets? Can somebody tell me what we do on neutral markets? Yeah, that is weird, CT. I don't know why they said that. I don't know what's going on. So can somebody tell me what we do? CT, you see, you got it. You've been on it. Sit on your hands, substitute preacher says. Not trade. Exactly. This market is no bueno. No bueno. Why is that? Because you can't get an accurate read on the direction. And you need to know the direction, right? That's the next rule, right? Identify the direction. You need to know your direction in order to be able to execute. And if we can't identify our direction, then we can't decide which way we want to trade. And so with this, we need for something to happen. Now, what would actually make this a cleaner market structure? Well, we need to see either some higher highs get formed and a confirmation of a higher high, right? So I not only just want to see price come back up and retest this, but then I want it to break the high again that says, hey, look, Kai, we are going up. You can trust me. We're going up now. And then I'll look to scale in for that continuation up, or I want to see the markets break below the resistance here and then say, hey, look, we retest this resistance and then we break through yet again to confirm, hey, look, Kai, we're going down. You can trust me. We're going down, right? And then I can scale in right here, right? This is what it is. They can go ahead and liquidate me. Not trade. Exactly. We blow account. Exactly. You would blow your account. Why? Because price is going up, it's going down, it's going up, it's going down. And then you find yourself sitting here like, man, I just took all of these losses. I don't know. And then you start to second guess yourself. How many of you have second guessed yourself in the markets? You're trading in a choppier market structure and you're just saying to yourself, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I could just, for the life of me, I don't know what's happening. Right? How many of you have ever felt like that? Drop a 1 in the chat if you ever felt like that in the markets. I want to see those ones because even I felt like that, right? I have times where I'd be like, what is going on? Right? CT says every day. Part of my biggest problem. E-Man says 1, right? Ben says 1. Dewey Don says 1, right? Says he has, right? And so that's what we want to do. We want to clear it up so that you guys can understand exactly what's going on in the markets. And I don't want you guys to see this here and be like, well, what's going on? Nothing is going on. That's the thing. That is the thing. It's not that you have a problem or that you're seeing something incorrectly. You're not a bad trader. There's just nothing here for you, right? So what do? We're just going to wait and sit on our hands until we get a cleaner market structure. We take a look at something else, right? Let's see if there's something else that has a cleaner market structure. All right. As of right now, let's go to the ES, right? So for those of you who are just joining up, we are on ES, right? We're taking a look at ES. What are we currently in? Are we in a bullish continuation, drop a 1, or a bearish correction, drop a 2? I want to see who's been paying attention. I want to see who's been paying attention here. Right? Let's see who has been paying attention. 1 for a bullish continuation, 2 for a bearish correction. I see twos. Okay. I see you, Justin, with the 2 substitute preacher, Adriel with the bear, Sim K with the bear. Okay, 2s. I see some 1s in there, some 2s and some 1s. A lot of 2s though, a lot of 2s, right? So majority of you are saying a 2, right? And if you said 2, you would be right? But if you said 1, you're not technically wrong, right? Why wouldn't you be technically wrong? Well, we need to go back and determine what determines whether we're in a bullish or a bearish trend. And as we speak, we could be seeing some shift happen. Does anybody see the shift? Does anybody see the shift, right? We're looking at the 15-minute time frame. Does anybody see the shift? The time frame, we're looking at the 15-minute time frame, right? Justin says yes. CT says kind of. We're going to get that cleared up. Big swing high recently, says substitute preacher. Okay, so where does this market actually shift? How do we know when price is going from bearish to bullish? Can somebody drop in the chat? How do you know when price goes from bearish to bullish? Because we got a blank slate here, right? We've already checked for our news. We're identifying our direction on the 15-minute time frame, right? And this is where we want to identify where price can go, right? You guys say, yes, a higher high and a higher low, a break of structure, a change of character, a change of trend. You guys are all saying the same thing, right? Exactly, right? So that's where we would see this structure flip from bearish to being bullish. Now, where does that happen at? Would it be, okay, hold on. I'm going to do it like this. Let's do it like this, right? You guys tell me, and I'm going to just drop a number, right? I'm going to drop a number on each area, right? I want you guys to tell me what area we actually flip from being bearish to being bullish, because I want to make sure that you guys are seeing this here. So we got this area here. We got this area here, this high. We're going to put a 3 there. We're going to put a 4 right here. So drop in the chat 1, 2, 3, or 4. Where do you think that this structure goes from being bearish to actually being bullish? I want to make sure that you guys understand this, right? And you guys are picking up what I'm putting down here. So where will we actually see that? AB says 4. Justin says 2. Nye Mitchell says 3. Milline says, I'm sorry if I'm butchering you guys' name. 4, 4, 4. I think 3, 3, 4, 2, 4. Okay, Justin says 3. Okay, so for those of you who said 1, which was none of you, obviously that would be wrong, right? 1 says all of them. What was the sheet that you showed earlier? That is our Ace Trader method, our Ace Trader blueprint, right? You can get the blueprint in the journal absolutely free. Just DM me the word Ace. I'll send it to you. That's my gift to you guys. So those of you who said 2, which was, I think, none of you, I don't think I've seen any 2s, right? You guys will be wrong as well. For those of you who said 3, I've seen a lot of 3s in the chat. You also would be wrong. Why is this? Because the correct answer is 4, right? Why is that? Well, you need to identify, look, what is our key high and what is our key low? Our key high is the highest point that starts for the break of our low, right? If this is my low right here, right? Price broke through this low to create this low here. So what is my key high? My key high is the highest point that started for the break of that low, right? And the wick counts. It's not the body. It is the wick, right? The wick is what tells us that price broke through this low. I don't care if it rejected off of this, right, and closed above. This wick still broke through this low. So this is the key high right here at that 4 mark, right? And so that means that if price breaks above this, this is the first, right? The very first indication of a change of character, break of structure, change of trend, right? The very first indication that price could now actually start to go up. And what did we see happen? Well, we had an impulsive move followed by a low and slow corrective structure, right? A low and slow corrective structure. How do we know that? Well, we can determine this by the volume in the candles and the direction of our overall trend. And our technical low, where's our technical key low? If we're taking a look, let's say we dial it up to our 1 hour time frame. Where's our technical key low on the 1 hour time frame? It's right here. Why? Because where's our key low? Our key low is the starting point that broke for our previous high. If our previous high is right here, this is that lowest point. So as price gets down close into this area where the 1 hour candle would actually flip, it's like, oh no. We don't want to get there. We actually want to go back and continue in the direction of our trend. So then what do we see executing on the lower time frame? That first initial shift at this area here, right? That's saying that, look, we want to now continue in the direction of our trend. And that's not to say that price is going to continue. This is just the earliest indication because we are market detectives, right? We want to detect what the market is giving us. And we do that by looking at the clues, right? So the market is telling us that, hey, look, this is the first indication of a possible flip. And we could see a steeper move up, right? I hope that this is making sense. Drop a 1 in the chat if you guys are getting some value out of this. I want to make sure that this is making sense to you guys, right? Drop a 1. CT, I see you with the 1. CT, you've been here almost each and every day. I absolutely appreciate you showing up every day. Seriously, I appreciate you showing up each and every day. And I hope by you joining this live here each and every day, you're getting some value, right? A Colt OG said 1. A Milanay, I keep pronouncing that wrong potentially. I'm so sorry. Substitute Preacher, I be seeing you too, Substitute Preacher. I be seeing you. Why don't you make the candles green and red? Adriel, this is an amazing question. Why aren't my candles green and red? Does anybody know why my candles aren't green and red? Does anybody know? I want to know who's been in here for long enough, because if you guys have been in here long enough, you guys will know specifically why my candles are blue and white. E-Man says, I do. Go ahead and tell him why my candles are blue and white instead of being green and red. MF, please, you guys know. Terry knows, right? Because exactly, Angel, you know, because it activates negative emotions, right? That's exactly what it is. So when your chart colors are green and red, everybody drop into a chat one word, the first word that comes to mind when you think of the color green. Just the very first word that comes to mind when you think of the color green. For those of you who are just joining, everybody is dropping in the chat what the first word that comes to mind when they think of green. I see a lot of goes, money, go, buy, stop, good. It just confuses me. Buy. John Rod says money. Gotti says go, right? Green, go, red, stop. Okay, so drop in the chat the first word that comes to your mind when you think of the color red, right? What is the very first one? I'm talking, boom, it popped up. This is the first word I thought of, right? Terry says sell. Somebody said bad. John Rod says stop. Angel says sell. More trades. Dewey says no, loss, negative. Exactly, right? And so all of these negative thoughts come to your mind when you think of the color red, while green can almost be like go. And that's just because your mind is trained to that. When you're driving a car, green means go, red means stop. Stop signs are red. The little circle with the red X, that means no, right? You know what I'm saying? So your mind has subconsciously taken these colors and it's added these different things to it. And I'm gonna tell you what it did for me in particular. I could not see sales,
right? If the market could be showing the most perfect sell setup in the world. I'm talking crystal clear. And I would just be like, nope, I got to wait for it to buy up, right? And I would sit on my hands for weeks. The markets would just be tanking. I was AUD cat, lied to you not, 2020, I want to say 2021. Beautiful sales. I'm just sitting there for like 2.5 weeks. I'm like, nah, it's got to buy eventually. And it just kept selling. And I'm just sitting on my hands, letting all that money go by simply because I just couldn't see that the sales were available, right? I was only looking for buys because I was thinking green means good. That means go. And when we start seeing the big green candles, then that means we good. But we was just seeing big red candles. So what I had to do is I had to switch my colors from being blue or from being green and red to being blue and white. Why blue and white? Neutral colors. Blue can sometimes still mean like money, I guess, if you think about it, but white is neutral, right? So selling is no longer bad to me. I could already see the buys, but now the sells I could also see as well. And I don't have that affected emotion, right? Negative bank account. Exactly. Stop in blood. I changed my chart to retro game colors to make it fun. Now that's tough. I actually have a lady in our VIP. And again, if you guys want to join our VIP where we trade live, you can just DM me the word join. She changes hers based off of the season, right? So around Valentine's, she had hers as pink, and I think it was like pink and like a light shade of pink and a darker shade of pink, right? Just for that. And then Christmas, she did do green and red during Christmas, and she just changes it with the theme. Halloween, I think she had black and orange, right? And that was the first time I ever seen it. I said, oh, that's smooth. I might have to take that up, right? Blue gives business, but isn't it riskier selling? Absolutely not. It's riskier selling in this market, but that's in this current market. Yes, right. That it would be riskier selling in this current market, but it's not riskier selling in general, right? It's not a riskier to take a sell than it would be to take a buy. And I mean, I guess if you're looking at swing trading or like investing, then that's different, right? You don't want to like hedge a short position, but maybe like a long position you're buying in, at these pullback areas, right? But that's why, right? So I hope, Adriel, that answers your question there, right? So getting back to the charts, this was the first initial shift. Now take a look at what we see happening. Look at how big this candle is. Why is this candle so big? Can somebody tell me why this candle is so big? Because it's not just because of CPI data. It's not just because of CPI data. I want to know why this candle was so big. Why did it have such a long wick right here? Right? It's because it's rejecting off of our larger time frame key level. This is our key level. If price broke below 7390, then that would actually flip the structure from being bullish on this 1 hour time frame to actually being bearish, right? And it wants to reject and get far away from that 7390 or 7,390 or 7,390. Goodness gracious, right? Because that's that key low that it would have to flip the structure. And what is likely to happen? Well, that lower time frame shift that we talked about, right? So we can go ahead and we can check that off here. Our 15-minute time frame is now what? Is it our 15-minute time frame in a 1 bullish or 2 bearish? I want to make sure. I can't really see. I see these balloons. I don't know what those are, but I absolutely appreciate those. I appreciate you guys, seriously. I can't really see it, but it looks like we just pushed back up, or price was pushed back up. So CT says 1 bullish. Ahmed says 1 bullish. Dewey Don says bear. And Dewey, I want you to look at this now. I want you to look at this. And this is not me coming for you, but this is me wanting to help you so that you can start to identify structure for yourself, right? We know that when price is creating lower lows and lower highs, we are bearish. But what happens when we create a higher high? We broke through our previous key high, and that is the first initial flip of the markets. But why did it happen specifically here? Because if price would have broke through 73.90, let me tell you, it was going to break with some volume. But it wanted to respect that area, and then it pushed up with volume, breaking through this lower time frame. You got to think of it like a magnet. This is a 1 hour magnet versus a 15-minute magnet. Well, that 1 hour magnet is going to be much stronger than our 15-minute magnet, right? And so it pushed above this high, creating yet a higher high. Now, we don't know how high it's going to go. We got to wait for a corrective structure to start forming, and then we would look to capitalize on a continuation. But as of right now, our trend has shifted from being bearish to now being bullish simply because it broke through this key area of interest high. Is that making sense? Is that making sense, Dewey? Right? I want to make sure that's making sense to you, because I want to make sure that you're following why everybody is saying that it's bullish now, right? And this is not to say that it has to go up all the way back up to this high, but it's more likely that price gravitates to this high than it is for price to actually break below this low. Why? Because we're in a larger time frame bullish trend, and this is where that first largest time frame area of interest would get broken if it broke below it. So it's more likely that we actually continue in the direction of our trend than to actually flip our larger time frame trend. It takes a lot to flip the larger time frame trend, right? It takes a lot. Something has to happen in order to flip our larger time frame trend. And I want you to see what I mean by this. If you take a look at gold on this larger time frame when we were super bullish, right? Gold was a couple months back. Gold was just super bullish. Every week that you bought gold, it was just buying up. And then what happened when we actually flipped the trend? Well, it had to push down with some sugar. You know what I'm saying? It had to push down with some volume, and it pushed down very, very fast. So you're going to need a ton of, and look at what indicated that, right? What indicated that larger time frame shift? A very high volume move to the downside. One single 1 hour candle had to set it off, right? It said, hey, look, no, we're going down. It corrected up, we're going down. You know what I'm saying? But it takes a ton of volume in order to shift our larger time frame trend. So unless you have that ton of volume in the market, which we don't, right? We've seen CPI came out pretty regular, right? It's more likely that instead of breaking your larger time frame trend, that you actually continue in the direction of what the trend is. And that's why we see this candle here on the 1 hour has so much volume, right? That's why we see that. So I hope that that makes sense as to why. And how do we also know? What do we have here? We had an impulsive move, right? And then we had a corrective structure. You guys told me this morning, this was a corrective structure. So now what can you expect following a corrective structure? Another impulsive move, right? Why? Because we've just been creating higher highs and higher lows. Right? So that I hope that this is making sense, right? You guys are starting to understand how all of these pieces of the markets are working together, right? Correction, getting liquidity. I see you on for those of you who are viewing us on YouTube, right? What time frame are you waiting for the corrective move? Wait. Hey man, do you have any courses or something? I have I have a course being made. Now, Peanut is my little sister. She told me not to show you guys the course yet, but I'm going to go against her rules real quick. Peanut, if you're in here, I'm sorry. I'm going to show them the course, right? Because I do have a course that is going to get released, and this is going to be something that's going to drop what time? What day is it? It's 12. So either at the end of this month, I've been kind of putting off recording the rest of it, but it's already started. I'm going to show you. Hold on. Where is that? Wrong account. Hold on. Let me show you guys. Because this is a full course that walks you through everything, right? So we got the introduction in module 1, and it has different, this is going to be a different course. Throughout this course, you guys are going to actually have things. You're going to have tests as you go along to make sure that as you're going through the course, you're picking up what I'm putting down. So then what every trader must know, it has 8 full modules, very, very detailed, going through candle anatomy, bullish versus bearish structure. There's going to be tests in the bullish versus bearish, how to identify if you're bullish, bearish, or neutral, right? How to identify what your key high and your key lows are, support, resistance, break of structure, change of character. This is going to take you through the full 9 yards. And then after you finish the course, at the end of the course, it's going to show you how you can actually become a funded trader and give you my actual scaling blueprint. So how prop firms work, how to pass challenges with our method, how to avoid hidden rules, drawdown traps, how to set daily, weekly, and monthly payout strategies, scaling plan, how to go from 1 account to 3 accounts to 5 accounts to 10 accounts. I took $123 and turned it into over $10,000 profit and over $1.15 million in funding, simply starting with that $123. And I'm going to show you guys guys exactly how to do that in this course as well, and how to build long-term capital, how to take your payouts that you get from the markets and actually start to invest in yourself, right? These are the different things that you guys are going to learn throughout this course. It's just not out yet. And then it has becoming a six-figure trader, mastery performance, trading psychology, and it's going to go through all the different books. As a bonus, you're going to get all of my blueprint, but I give you guys that free here. And you guys will get all of the different self-help books that I've read, all of the different things that I've been learning throughout. So I got a full library of books over here, and even more than I've listened to more books than I've actually read in my library. So you guys will get that full 9 yards. When the course comes out, the course is gonna be, see, this is what I'll do, right? I think what we'll do is we'll have a pre-sale for the course. So I'll release it for, let's say, I give it to you guys for anywhere from $50 to $100. It'll probably be in that range for the pre-sale. Once the course does drop though, and we finish it, it will be selling for $500. So that pre-sale will start going live towards the middle of this month, once we get all of the things done for the course. And then the course should drop in early, either at the end of this month or early next month. But once it does drop, it will be $499. But I'm going to give it to you guys for a reduced cost, because I want you guys to really start learning and be able to utilize that, right? I want you guys to be able to utilize it. So, hey, I hope that you guys have gotten some, are those payout plaques in the background? Yeah, those are some of our payouts here. $1,900, $1,500, $2,000, 3.5, 6.5K, 1,000, 2,500, 2,500, 2,500. Those are just some of the payouts though. The wall got filled up and we just stopped putting them up there. But those are some of those back there. Would you say that consolidation compensates the imbalance from a big move? Exactly. That's exactly what it does. So for those of you who are not picking up what I'm putting down, for those of you who are not picking up what he said basically, does consolidation happen after a big move, essentially, right? And that's what it does. So when the markets are trying to reverse following from a big move, then we would see this neutral market structure that we're kind of seeing here, right? This is oftentimes the indication of a reversal, and that price is actually trying to decide where markets could go, right? So I want you guys to note that consolidation, like after you see a big move and price starts to chop up, and we could take a look here at how price even reacted, let's say on the NASDAQ, right? Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. What happened? You get this impulsive move up, then price starts to slow down, and really you can see it like right here. Like if we take a look like here, you get this big impulsive move, and then you get this kind of sideways market structure, right? And then you get another, semi-impulsive leg here, and then price has, actually flipped from being bearish or bullish to being bearish, and it's gone to this corrective structure. But we just had a lower time frame shift, right? Lower time frame shift, price created a high, right? Broke through our previous low, and then we got this bullish push to the upside, but still doesn't have a crazy amount of volume here today, right? So that does often constitute, like after you see a big move like that, some type of consolidation, accumulation. Yes, that's oftentimes what people will hear it say does happen, right? Yeah, we accumulated over the years. Yeah, come on for the lookout, bro. Yeah, you guys know I'm gonna hook you up, right? So when the course does drop, I'm gonna hook you guys up. But you guys have been an absolute blessing. I appreciate all of you who sent the heart me's. Angel, I seen you with the popular. Gotti sent a heart me as well. I appreciate all of you guys who have done all of these different things. If you guys are just joining up, we are about to get off here, but I want to make sure that you guys get the blueprint and the trading journal. So DM me the word ACE, and I will send you this blueprint and the trading journal absolutely free. And if you guys want to join our VIP, where we go live and we trade actual live and we're executing in the markets, you want to see real executions, DM me the word join, right? I'll send you a 7-day free trial so that you guys can join up and you guys can join the community and see what we're all about there, right? So just DM me that word join. You guys have been an absolute pleasure. My name is Kyron Eidelberg. This is for the Culture FX. If you guys aren't following me yet, make sure you drop a follow, because I don't want this to be the last time that you guys see me. ABT Cuts, DM me the words, right? DM me those 2 words. So shoot me a message on DM and I'll send that to you. Thanks for answering. Absolutely. Have a good one, brother. I appreciate it. You guys have a great rest of your day. I absolutely appreciate each and every one of you who've been on this live. Again, you don't want this to be the last time you see me, so go ahead and drop a follow. That is the free thing that you can do to make sure that you guys are here each and every day and getting value, right? We all want to get better, right? That's what you guys are here for. So I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next live. Catch you guys in the next live. And I appreciate all of my viewers from YouTube as well, because you guys are absolute blessing. See you guys in the next one.